Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Students, today's topic of SGD is megaloblastic anemia. So starting with scenario, a 15 years old boy on a vegetarian diet presents with severe macrocytic anemia in which hemoglobin is 5.1 gram per deciliters, MCV, that is mean corpuscular volume, is 116 femtoliters. In addition to leukopenia, what is leukopenia? Leukopenia is decreased WBC count. In addition to leukopenia and thrombocytopenia, thrombocytopenia is decreased platelet count. So all the three major blood components are decreased. So when all the three major blood components are decreased, the condition is called pancytopenia. This pancytopenia. So the patient has pancytopenia. Icterus secondary to hemolysis and splenomegaly. Lab investigations revealed severe vitamin B12, that is also called cobalamin deficiency. Following cobalamin replacement therapy, the patient reported increased well-being, increased appetite and weight gain, and his icterus resolved. So this is how a patient of megaloblastic anemia presents. What is megaloblastic anemia? Beta, megaloblastic anemia results due to deficiency of vitamin B12 or folic acid. So due to deficiency of vitamin B12 or folate is called megaloblastic anemia. So it is, what are the consequences of megaloblastic anemia? There is impairment of DNA synthesis that leads to abnormally large cells. That are these all cells, we will discuss them. In addition to that, there is ineffective hematopoiesis and pancytopenia, which we have already seen in the scenario. So due to megaloblastic anemia, what is megaloblastic anemia? Deficiency of vitamin B12 or folic acid. So impairment, what does happen? Impairment of DNA synthesis. Where does DNA reside? DNA is in nucleus. So all the cells that have nucleus, they get affected throughout the body in megaloblastic anemia. So impairment of DNA synthesis that leads to abnormally large erythroid precursors. Erythroid precursors are RBC. Erythroid are RBC precursors that are present in bone marrow. So when they get abnormally large, they are called megaloblast. This megaloblast in the bone marrow. And abnormally large red cells in the peripheral blood. So the abnormally large red cells are called macrocytes in the peripheral blood. Abnormally large granulocyte precursors. What are granulocytes? These are WBCs. WBCs precursors are also abnormally large in the bone marrow. So they are called giant metamyelocytes. Giant metamyelocytes and hypersegmented neutrophils. So these all cells, these all changes are found in megaloblastic anemia. These changes which are written, they are specified to blood. Abnormally large erythroid precursors in bone marrow, red cells in peripheral blood, granulocyte precursors in bone marrow, and hypersegmented neutrophils in peripheral blood. What is ineffective hematopoiesis? Ineffective hematopoiesis, as the term indicates, ineffective, that some process that is not effectively going on, Hematopoiesis is production. Hemato means blood and poiesis means production. Ineffective production of blood. Why does this occur in megaloblastic anemia? Ineffective production from bone marrow, because these cells that are erythroid precursors and granulocyte precursors that are abnormally formed in the bone marrow due to lack of vitamin B12 or folate, they get destroyed early in the bone marrow, which leads to ineffective hematopoiesis. So in short, there is increased cellular turnover in the bone marrow because the precursors are abnormal. They get destroyed before they get mature. So there is ineffective hematopoiesis, ineffective blood production. So due to ineffective hematopoiesis, the bone marrow is not working properly due to lack of vitamin B12 and folate. So what results in peripheral blood? पीछे से बेटा बन ही नहीं रहे जब cells, तो फिर blood के अंदर कुछ भी नहीं आएगा तो pancytopenia होगा. Due to lack of RBCs, anemia will patient will present with anemia. Due to lack of WBCs, patient will present with granulocytopenia. Due to lack of platelet precursors, there will be thrombocytopenia. So the patient presents with pancytopenia. So what it look like on peripheral blood look like in peripheral smear. So morphology on CBC, you will get decreased hemoglobin in patient. The MCV will be raised because in megaloblastic anemia we have already seen that the cells are abnormally large. So large cells have mean corpuscular volume. There is large space. When there is large space, the volume is increased. So MCV, mean corpuscular volume, is increased as compared to normal. What are the normal values? It's from 76 to 95 femtoliters. So you can see it's up to 110. In megaloblastic anemia, it can be up to 110 femtoliters. It is increased. MCHC might be normal. So on peripheral blood, oval macrocytes, as you can see in this picture, these cells which I am indicating, this cell, this cell, this cell, they are normochromic normocytic cells. They have only 1/3 pallor inside them. They are of normal size. But as compared to them, this cell, this cell, this another cell, these are big cells. These are giant cells. So they are macrocytes. Macrocytes can be seen on peripheral blood. So oval macrocytosis, anisocytosis, and poikilocytosis. Anisocytosis is variable in size and variability in shape. So you can see the size and shape are going to be variable. Large hypersegmented neutrophils. As you can see, what are the normal number of lobes in neutrophil? They are 3 to 5 lobes found normally in neutrophils. So you can see there is hypersegmentation of neutrophilic lobes in megaloblastic anemia. You can see this is 1 lobe, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7 lobes in this neutrophil. Reticulocyte count is low. Why retic count is low? Retic is the indicator of bone marrow function. Reticulocytes are the immature red blood cells. So whenever there is no food provided to bone marrow, there will be no production of RBCs and hence low production of reticulocytes, and there will be low reticulocyte count in peripheral blood. So there is retic count is low. On bone marrow biopsy, there is hypercellular marrow because marrow is trying to compensate the peripheral anemia or pancytopenia. So the cellular turnover is increased, more cells are produced, so it gives the appearance of hypercellular marrow. Nuclear to cytoplasmic asynchrony. This is nuclear to cytoplasmic asynchrony. Why is this so? Because in megaloblastic anemia, there is DNA impairment. So the DNA is present in nucleus. So the cells are, the nuclear maturation lags behind cytoplasmic maturation. Better remember this thing. The nuclear maturation lags behind cytoplasmic maturation. So there is nuclear to cytoplasmic asynchrony. Erythropoiesis is hyperplastic and megaloblastic. Large cells and hyperplastic marrow. Immature nucleus, abundant basophilic cytoplasm, as you can see, and prominent nucleoli. Yeah, this is a nucleoli, this is another, this is another. These prominent nucleoli. Myelopoiesis, that is production of WBCs, is also hyperplastic and shows left shift. Left shift is immature cells are more commonly found as compared to mature cells. So giant myelocytes and giant metamyelocytes are present in are found in bone marrow of a megaloblastic anemia patient. And large megakaryocytes that are bizarre multi-lobed, that have bizarre multi-lobed nuclei. So on biochemical test, which we can order for a patient to get diagnosed, serum B12 levels in these patients are low. Serum folate levels may also be low. Red cell folate levels are also low. And bilirubin is slightly increased. Why? Because there is increased cellular turnover. Whenever there is increased cellular turnover, the bilirubin levels are increased. Cellular turnover, particularly of red cells. LDH, it is also increased due to increased cellular turnover. So how the patient presents to you? Patient presents with pancytopenia due to ineffective hematopoiesis. Patient presents with pallor, as the name indicates, megaloblastic anemia. Anemic patients are presents with pallor. Patient presents with infections. Why? Because there is also decreased WBC count. So the patient presents with infections, bleeding tendency. Why? Because there is low platelet count in these patients. The patient presents with mild jaundice, icteric ineffective erythropoiesis, and features of underlying conditions such as the patient may also present with diarrhea and some other GI symptoms. So the patient has glossitis, sore tongue, and stomatitis. As you can see, the tongue is beefy red tongue. So this is glossitis, stomatitis, and sore tongue. Mild symptoms of malabsorption can also be seen in these patients with weight loss and lethargy, breathlessness. Why? Because there is anemia, and whenever patient exerts, there is breathlessness and other generalized signs and symptoms of anemia may be present. So now coming one by one towards the basic etiology. So vitamin B12. What is vitamin B12? It is also known as cobalamin. Under normal circumstances, humans are totally dependent on dietary vitamin B12. It is synthesized in nature by microorganisms, and the source of vitamin B12 is liver, meat, fish, and dairy products. So you have to take meat, for example, liver, meat, fish, and dairy products, and humans are totally dependent on nature for acquiring B12. Human cannot make their own vitamin B12. So the daily requirement is 2 to 3 micrograms. Normally, intrahepatic stores of vitamin B12 are sufficient to last for several years. Strictly vegetarian or macrobiotic diets do not provide adequate amounts of this essential nutrients. So in our population, beta, we see patients of megaloblastic anemia very often because meat is quite expensive and people cannot consume it, and they get vitamin B12 deficiency. They are people are bound to be strictly vegetarian in our society due to costly meat. They cannot consume it. So in our OPDs, we get a lot of patients with megaloblastic anemia. So why vitamin B12 deficiency occurs? It can occur if there is decreased intake, inadequate diet, or a person is vegetarian. Then there will be there is decreased intake, and hence B12 deficiency occurs. The other cause can be impaired absorption. The patient is consuming adequate B12, but there is impaired absorption. So why there is impaired absorption? There it may be due to intrinsic factor deficiency. This is very important thing. Beta, remember this intrinsic factor deficiency cause vitamin B12 deficiency. It is seen in pernicious anemia and in gastrectomy patients. Beta, remember this thing by heart. Intrinsic factor deficiency can occur by due to pernicious anemia or in gastrectomy. Malabsorption states in diffuse intestinal disease such as lymphomas and systemic sclerosis, in ileal resection or ileitis patients, there may be impaired absorption of B12. Competitive parasitic uptake, for example, in children, they are more commonly infested by parasites. So there is competitive parasitic uptake and the patient lacks B12 levels in his body. So fish tapeworm infestation also causes impaired absorption of vitamin B12. Bacterial overgrowth in blind loop and diverticula of bowel also leads to impaired absorption. So anemia of vitamin B12 deficiency, we will particularly focus on pernicious anemia. Beta, pernicious anemia is a specific form of megaloblastic anemia. It is in autoimmune gastritis. Beta, remember this thing. Pernicious anemia is due to autoimmune causes. It is caused by autoimmune gastritis. What happens? It impairs the production of intrinsic factor. Impairs the production of intrinsic factor. Intrinsic factor is very necessary for the absorption of vitamin B12 inside the body. It is required for B12 uptake from the gut. So what is normal vitamin B12 metabolism? Beta, vitamin B12 in diet is protein bound. So as you can see in this picture, this blue is vitamin B12 and this is a binding protein that has bound this B12, and we consume this form of vitamin B12 through food. So when we consume B12, it is bound to binding protein. We take it, and on the other side there is heptocorrin that is released from salivary glands when we take food inside. So in saliva there is heptocorrin. It is released from salivary glands. So when the protein bound B12 reaches your stomach with the bolus of food, by the action of pepsin, the protein is destroyed and B12 is released. As soon as the B12 is released, the heptocorrin that was released from salivary glands, and it also passed through bolus into the stomach, it binds this B12. Beta, B12 gets destroyed if it is not bound by a protein. So ये अल्लाह में एक मैकेनिज्म है कि B12 जो वो कहीं ना कहीं बाउंड फॉर्म में पूरे गट के अंदर चलता जाएगा. तो जैसे ही वो एक्सोजिनस प्रोटीन जो डिस्ट्रॉय हुई पेप्सिन से, एक और प्रोटीन जो सलाइवरी ग्लैंड से रिलीज हुई थी हेप्टोकोरिन, वो अटैच हो गई. So this heptocorrin B12 complex is formed in stomach. What happens? There are gastric parietal cells. They release this intrinsic factor. So this intrinsic factor moves with the food into the intestine. Now this intrinsic factor as well as the heptocorrin B12 complex, this enters the intestine. In intestine, by the action of pancreatic enzymes, the complex heptocorrin B12 complex is broken down, and what happens? B12 is once again released, and now B12 is bound by the intrinsic factor. Intrinsic factor was released in the stomach but was bound in the intestine with vitamin B12. So now in intestine, intrinsic factor B12 complex is formed. Now in ileum, when this complex, intrinsic factor B12 complex, reaches the ileum, there are certain receptors on the ileal cells that can uptake this B12. So now these receptors can attach intrinsic factor to them. So intrinsic factor is attached to the ileal cells, and this intrinsic factor is destroyed and B12 is taken up by the cells and then transported into the blood. Now B12 is ready to reach into the blood. In blood, vitamin B12 is again attached to to a plasma protein called transcobalamin. Beta, this transcobalamin, as the name indicates, trans means that a protein that can transport something. Cobalamin, it transports cobalamin, vitamin B12. So transcobalamin 2, this protein attaches B12 inside the blood and it takes it to the to different sites. What are the sites? It can take it to the bone marrow, to liver, and to other cells of the body for the synthesis of DNA. This B12 is responsible for the synthesis of DNA. So what are the manifestations due to vitamin B12 deficiency? What happens? Vitamin B12 is required for two major reactions in the body. Better memorize them. This is more very frequently asked in short questions or in your MCQs. So B12 is required for two major reactions in the body for the conversion of homocysteine to methionine and methylmalonyl CoA to succinyl CoA. So the absence of B12 leads to two major consequences. Number one, impaired methylation leads to defects in myelination of neural tissue. This is very important to memorize. Impaired methylation leads to defect of myelination of neural tissue. And number two, consequences, accumulation of homocysteine has toxic effects on cardiovascular tissue and neural tube. But this homocysteine needs to be converted to methionine. If there is no vitamin B12, this homocysteine cannot convert to methionine. So there is accumulation of homocysteine, and accumulation of homocysteine leads to has toxic effects on cardiovascular tissue and neural tube defects occurs. So incidence of pernicious anemia, it is the disease of median age, and diagnosis is mostly at the age of 60 years. Genetic predisposition is strongly suspected. No definable genetic pattern of transmission is there, and many affected individuals have a tendency to form antibodies against multiple self-antigens. So pernicious anemia results from autoimmune attack. We already studied it. Autoimmune attack on the gastric mucosa. Histologically, there is chronic atrophic gastritis marked by loss of parietal cells. So a prominent infiltration of lymphocyte in plasma cells is seen inside the gastric mucosa due to the autoimmune attack and the inflammatory process. So megaloblastic changes in mucosal cells similar to those found in erythroid precursors. As I told you that all the nuclei of all the cells of the body, they are affected. So in the lining of the mucosa of the stomach is also affected. So there are also megaloblastic changes. The cells are large. Megaloblastic changes in mucosal cells similar to those found in erythroid precursors. So what are the types of antibodies that can be found? There can be three types of antibodies in pernicious anemia. Type 1 antibody, it blocks the binding of B12 to intrinsic factor. What does it do? It blocks the binding site of the intrinsic factor. It mimics the B12. It blocks the site of intrinsic factor. So when there is the dietary B12 comes, it cannot attach to intrinsic factor. So this type 1 antibody blocks the binding of B12 to intrinsic factor. In type 2 antibodies, they prevent binding of intrinsic factor and vitamin B12 complex. The complex is formed, but it cannot attach ileal receptors because the ileal receptors has already been blocked by the antibodies, type 2 antibodies present in a patient of pernicious anemia. If the patient has type 3 antibodies, what does they do? They recognize the alpha and beta subunit of the gastric proton pump and destroys the gastric cells of the stomach. So the intrinsic factor is totally not produced in type 3 antibodies. So these autoantibodies are of diagnostic utility, but they are not thought to be the primary cause of the gastric pathology. Autoreactive T cell response initiates gastric mucosal injury and triggers the formation of autoantibodies. So association with other diseases. Pernicious anemia can be is associated with other autoimmune disorders such as autoimmune thyroiditis and adrenalitis. बेटा जब भी पेशेंट आपके पास आएगा पर्निशियस एनीमिया का, आपने ढूंढनी है ये दोनों डिजीजेस की, इसको ये भी तो नहीं है, ऑटोइम्यून थायराइडाइटिस एंड एड्रेनालाइटिस. So lab diagnosis, hemoglobin is low, WBC count is low, platelet count is low, that is thrombocytopenia. When these three counts are low, this is called pancytopenia. MCV is high as the cells are large, mean corpuscular volume is raised. MCH is raised and the reticulocyte count may be normal or more commonly it's low. Peripheral smear shows oval macrocytosis as we have already seen, basophilic stippling, Howell-Jolly bodies. This is Howell-Jolly body. This is remnant of DNA. Cabot's ring. This is Cabot's ring. This is also due to nuclear immaturation, and nucleated red cells can also be seen in peripheral smear. Neutrophils have neutrophilic hypersegmentation, and giant myelocytes and metamyelocytes can escape the bone marrow and can present in the peripheral blood. So in megaloblastic anemia, rarely the leukoerythroblastic picture can also be seen in the peripheral blood. So low serum vitamin B12 in these patients, and elevated serum levels of homocysteine methylmalonic acid are seen. In pernicious anemia, you need to find the cause of the megaloblastic anemia. So when you find the cause of megaloblastic anemia, you need to evaluate the stomach. So stomach typically shows diffuse chronic gastritis and atrophy of fundic glands replaced by mucosal secreting goblet cells, that is metaplasia. Metaplasia occurs in the stomach and the parietal cells are lost, and thus intrinsic factor is not formed. So the special tests, you should only know the names of these special tests that can be done in this pernicious anemia is Schilling's test, anti-intrinsic factor antibodies, anti-parietal cell antibodies. These tests can also be performed. So what are the complications? Person with atrophy and metaplasia of the gastric mucosa has an increased risk of gastric carcinoma. Elevated homocysteine levels are risk factor for atherosclerosis and thrombosis. So vitamin B12 deficiency, what does this cause? It causes peripheral sensory and posterior column demyelination in spinal cord. This is cross section of spinal cord, and the demyelination of dorsal and posterior columns occur in the spinal cord, which leads to the tingling sensation in these patients, and the tingling in feet is more commonly pronounced. It is bilateral, and patient may face difficulty in walking and may fall over in the dark. And rarely optic atrophy and psychiatric symptoms such as megaloblastic madness can also be seen in patients with vitamin B12 deficiency. So the response of therapy can be seen whenever you give supplements to such patient. What happens? The response to therapy occurs within 5 days after parenteral administration of B12. How you can evaluate? You can evaluate by reticulocyte count in the blood. It starts to build up. Reticulocyte count is increased, which shows that bone marrow is now functioning properly. Now, folate deficiency anemia. Beta, folic acid is also called thyroid monoglutamic acid. So whenever its deficiency occurs, it also causes megaloblastic anemia, and it has same pathologic features as caused by vitamin B12 deficiency. So the richest source of folate is fresh, uncooked vegetables such as lettuce, spinach, asparagus, and broccoli. Certain fruits are rich in folic acid, lemons, bananas, and melons. Animal sources are liver, but they contain less amounts. So B12 has a major source from animals, and folate has a major source from plants. It is sensitive to heat, boiling, steaming, or frying. So tetrahydrofolate, beta focus on this picture. Tetrahydrofolate This tetrahydrofolate is responsible for, it acts as a middleman. This tetrahydrofolate acts as a middleman. It swaps the one carbon subunit. It takes from somewhere and gives to someone else. So it acts as a middleman. So tetrahydrofolate derivatives act as intermediates in the transfer of one carbon units, such as formyl and methyl groups, to various compounds. So tetrahydrofolates, as you can see, it donates one carbon unit to purines and methionine and also DTMP. DTMP is essential for the production of DNA inside the cells. So it gives one carbon unit to them and accepts carbon unit from these things. One carbon fragment derivatives from serine and FIGLU. FIGLU is form aminoglutamic acid. So it acts as a middleman. It takes, it donates one carbon unit to purines and methionine and DTMP and takes up one carbon unit from serine and FIGLU. So if this, folate is not present, one carbon unit donation as well as the acceptance, this process is halted and the formation of DNA, it is hampered. So the most important metabolic process depends on such transfer as purine synthesis, conversion of homocysteine to methionine. This action also requires B12 and DTMP synthesis. So the DTMP, that is dihydrofolate, is produced. As we can see, when DTMP accepts one carbon unit, the folate is converted to DH2. This is DH4. It is converted to DH2, dihydrofolate. So this dihydrofolate must be reduced by dihydrofolate reductase for re-entry into the folic acid pool. So as soon as it is in the form of dihydrofolate, it cannot act as a middleman. So it needs to be converted by dihydrofolate reductase and to re-enter into the tetrahydrofolate pool. So why folic acid deficiency occurs? It may be due to decreased intake, inadequate diet, alcoholism, and in infancy, because infants have increased cellular formation as they are growing up. So impaired, if there is impaired absorption, malabsorption states, intrinsic intestinal disease, anticonvulsants or oral contraceptives, they also lead to folic acid deficiency. Increased loss or hemodialysis leads to folic acid deficiency. Increased requirements of folic acid are present in pregnancy, infancy, disseminated cancer, and markedly increased hematopoiesis. Impaired utilization of if the folic acid antagonists are present, and unresponsive to vitamin B12 or folic acid therapy in the patient that are taking methotrexate, that is anti-cancer drug. So the absorption of folic acid occurs in duodenum and jejunum as monogglutamates. In food, it is present as polyglutamates. It is conjugated and converted to monoglutamate, and this monoglutamate can only be absorbed from duodenum and jejunum. So what are the consequences of folic acid deficiency? It can lead to neural tube defects. So the supplementation of maternal diet with folic acid during pregnancy reduces the incidence of neural tube defect by 75%. This is a neural tube defect in a newly born baby, that is spina bifida. So so the comparison of folic acid and cobalamin. Food source is folic acid present in all foods. Cobalamin is has animal protein source only. Both of these folic acid and cobalamin are water soluble, and the sites of absorption of folic acid are duodenum and jejunum, whereas for cobalamin it's ileum. The mechanism of absorption of folic acid is the deconjugation of polyglutamate to monoglutamate. And of cobalamin, that is vitamin B12, it's the uptake by intrinsic factor, cobalamin complex. So intrinsic factor is very important for the absorption of cobalamin. Metabolic functions, folic acid has one carbon transfers, and it is unknown for cobalamin. Body stores for folic acid are 4 to 5 months, and for cobalamin it's 2 to 12 years. Dietary deficiency is very common in for folic acid. and dietary deficiency of B12 is rare, but it is very common in our country. Deficiency states leads to megaloblastic anemia in both these deficiencies, and neurological disease is more commonly seen in cobalamin deficiency. So a 43 years old female presents with weakness, lassitude, and anorexia for last 6 months. She has pallor and glossitis with low hemoglobin. Her peripheral smear shows macroovalocytes. Better, this is a clue. Macroovalocytes, hypersegmented neutrophils. These both are clues that you got from peripheral smear. So what is the most likely diagnosis? It is megaloblastic anemia. What are the causes of this anemia? This anemia can result from vitamin B deficiency. There is a list of causes that can lead to vitamin B12 deficiency. It can be caused by folic acid deficiency. There is a list of folic acid deficiency, as we have already discussed, and it can be due to unresponsiveness of B12 or folic acid therapy, which is seen in the patients that are taking methotrexate, that inhibits the process. So methotrexate is an anti-cancer drug that the patients that are being treated with, they get vitamin B12 and folic acid deficiency. So this is all for today. Thank you so much. Allah Hafiz.
Here's the page. Oh. Yes. इन्होंने हाइड कर दिए। क्यों वीडियो नहीं बन रही है जब हाइड कर दिए?